I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, the podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Quirky Shank, Finger Guns. Pew, pew.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon. Insert something here. Sorry, I'm getting off a long work day and then picking up my dog from doggy daycare, and my head is spinning. But I'm here. I made it. We did it.
Chaos energy. Chaos energy.
And we are joined by the incredible Marcus Stewart, Associate Editor for Game Informer. Marcus, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I don't have a nickname.
That's okay. I keep rolling them up like Katamari, so...
Well, Marcus,
please...
I can't remember. Do you have a nickname from Alex on the GI Show? No, right? You don't have one.
I think the running joke is that they constantly remind themselves, like, we don't have a nickname for you.
And then yet there's no nickname given.
Or there's one that week and it never sticks. But
right,
it's kind of my life. For some reason, I got through my entire life not having a nickname ever. Huh. Like, no one ever gave me one. Nothing ever stuck longer than like a day. So it's like the nicknameless, just like...
There you go. That's your nickname, the nicknameless.
Yeah.
We'll see if it lasts.
We solved it together.
I'm telling you, I don't have a nickname. I'm nicknameless.
Oh, man.
That's a great bit.
That is a great bit. Marcus is an awesome human who does a ton of great writing for Game Informer, as well as a regular on the Game Informer show, which I happen to edit. We're going to talk more about all the cool stuff that Marcus does in a little bit. But before we do any of that, we are, as always, going to talk about the most recent thing we watched, and I will continue to go first until we change our minds. And, I have to be honest. So Rachel and I recorded the episode before this one a week ago. We're trying to bank some stuff just in case, things happen, emergency happened. We can have a few episodes in the chamber, as it were. Well, in that week of time, I didn't get to watch anything new. So I'm going to talk about the most recent thing I watched before the most recent thing I watched, because I'm going to cheat. Levels. But I do want to shout out that I've started a Psych rewatch, because I loved the show Psych, but I don't know where I dropped off in the later seasons, and now there are 3 movies, and I want to see all of that stuff. And I could pick a random spot in the middle, but instead I just started from the beginning. And the show is less problematic than I expected it to be. Like, the lead characters are kind of assholes in that charming way, but nothing super problematic has happened. And for a show that came out in the early 2000s, I'm actually kind of surprised by that.
Yeah, especially because it has such, I don't want to say bro-y humor, but
kind of.
It's kind of bro-y.
Yeah.
In your bro who does sleight of hand magic kind of way. That's the vibe. And that guy, the bro who does sleight of hand magic, is the most problematic of all. Come at me.
Yeah, that's true.
Tell me I'm not wrong.
I feel like the most I ever saw of Psych was as a wrestling fan, a WWE fan. I would always catch the first 2 minutes after Monday Night Raw ended.
Right.
Yeah.
Before, if I didn't change the channel quick enough or turn the TV off, and there's a slate of those USA post-Raw shows where it's I've seen 2 minutes of maybe 100 episodes, depending on how long it lasted, and Psych is one of them. But I always wondered if it was actually good or not.
I like
it. It's fun. It's kind of goofy humor. If you like Scrubs and that kind of slapsticky sitcom kind of stuff, this is in that vein. Mostly a comedy with some dramatic moments. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about Psych, although I will when I finish all 8, 9, 10 seasons, whenever we get to that point. I am here, however, to talk about Sonic Prime. Sonic Prime is the new Netflix Sonic animated series.
Yes.
And I'd been really excited about it. It's no secret to anyone who listens to any of my podcasts that I am a Sonic diehard. And I was a little skeptical of the show just because the TV shows ebb and flow with quality, depending on which show you watch. Although I did like Sonic X even though it had its issues.
I was going to ask, what's your like number one? Like, what's the best Sonic show?
I mean, it's tough. Like, it's really driven by nostalgia. Like, I really do love the old school, both Sat AM Sonic, the serious one based on the comic, and then the goofy Saturday morning Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, both done by Julia White, who voiced Sonic in both of those cartoons. And so, like, I have a soft spot for those two shows because I grew up watching them. But I will say I'm happy to report Sonic Prime is actually a lot of fun. It's a whole brand new voice cast. No one from the games or previous cartoons are repeating their roles. Though Sonic is voiced by a person of color again. So, like, they are sticking to that I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Besides the movies, Sonic has always, I think, been voiced by a person of color. Oh, and Roger Craig Smith, of course, in the games is a white guy as well. But I do like that this cast seems to be pretty diverse. The cast of characters in the show is interesting because it's not only Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Knuckles, but Rouge the Bat is sort of a good guy, and Shadow is there as an anti-hero. And the basic premise of the show is within like the first 5 minutes, Sonic and gang are trying to defeat Robotnik yet again, and there's this giant crystal that is known to alter dimensions that Robotnik wants to take for himself, take over the world, blah, blah, blah. And Sonic, of course, quick to react, shatters the crystal to stop Robotnik and shatters the It's a multiverse show, essentially. To make a very long story short, it's a multiverse show. And when Sonic shatters the crystal, he ends up in a weird future where like a group of a Robotnik family have taken over, and then the show kind of progresses from there. And I enjoyed it. I thought all the performances were great. The animation is incredible. It's this nice weird mix of like what looks like claymation but is actually just CG, but it's like everything's really smooth and kind of looks like it like stepped out of a video game. The music is great. The humor is actually very funny. It's your typical kind of goofy Sonic humor. I would compare it to a lot of the better video games and the banter and humor that are in those. The portrayals by all these new voice actors are paying homage to the original characters from their source material, but kind of doing their own spin on it. I'm really enjoying it. It ends on a cliffhanger this season, which is like, I think it already got renewed for a second season, but I kind of hate when stories end that way, especially animated shows, because I'm still scorned by DuckTales. I've still yet to watch the series finale of the new DuckTales because I'm just mad that it ended. I need to do that still.
I thought you were going to bring up, as a fan of Sonic AM, infamously it ended on a cliffhanger. And it got canceled.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the Netflix MO sometimes. Like, I can't remember. There was one really well-regarded adult phenomenon, I think is what it was a Netflix show left on a cliffhanger.
Yep. Altered Carbon, which I loved, also left on a cliffhanger.
1889 was the Bermuda Triangle show that just got canceled. I did that too, I think.
Yeah, also. And so that's kind of Netflix's MO. But thankfully, Sonic, I believe, did get a renewal, and they actually announced recently that we're getting more this year in 2023, which is fast, if you ask me, because they just released the first season, but that's exciting.
Matt, it has to be that way because Sonic's gotta go fast.
Well, I think I was talking, Wesley LeBlanc, also Game Informer, was talking about that, and he said that he had heard that apparently for the animated shows, Netflix will have them basically make one giant season and then they just cut it into 2 seasons, but those 2 seasons were made at the same time, which is why, because I think that's the Cuphead show had a similarly quick turnaround.
Got it.
But then, at least according to him, I haven't looked into it, it might be a little shady because I think he said that he read that some of the animators that worked on those shows said that they only get paid for like 1 season's worth of, I guess, work. But then Netflix is like, hey, we got 2 of these. And you're like, that doesn't seem cool.
Yeah, I mean, I know that had happened specifically with the Castlevania show. Like, the subsequent seasons were their own thing, but season 1 and 2 were actually 2 parts of 1 season. And then they made several more seasons. Or it's supposed to be like a long mini-series that they chopped up into like episodes and seasons. And yeah, I'm guessing that's something similar here with Sonic Prime. I mean, I'm excited for more of it. I like the thing I've loved most about Sonic in 2022 is the sequel to the first movie, the video game Sonic Frontiers, and now Sonic Prime are all kind of letting Sonic do his own thing while paying homage to the past. And I think that's where Sonic's strength is. I think that the Sonic movies are very good, are strong as kids movies that just also have Sonic stuff in it. And the second movie especially leaned into the video game bullshit, which I think was a lot more fun. But like even Sonic Frontiers, while it was not a perfect video game on literally any level, running around in the open world as Sonic was so much fun, and the story was so well written that like everything else, while lacking, like is kind of held together by those strong things. And like now it's nice to see Sonic with a TV show that really is doing its own thing. It's a separate story from what came before. It assumes you know most of the lore while sprinkling it in, and just is its own thing. I was afraid Sonic Prime was going to like, especially once I realized it was a multiverse show, was going to like rehash like all these different Sonic properties are just different universes. And they call back to that a little bit. They actually have some 16-bit animation in it too, which is fun.
Cute.
To call like there's a flashback with Knuckles that they show Sonic and Knuckles the game, but it's not actually the game. It's newer 16-bit sprite art that is made to look like the game, which is pretty funny. I really enjoyed it. I think if you're a Sonic fan, there's a lot to love here. I think if you have like a child or a younger sibling in your life, they would probably enjoy it because it's got the snarky hero kind of thing you expect from most Saturday morning cartoons. And I'm curious to see where it goes. The only thing that stinks about seeing a Sonic anything that kind of goes and branches out on its own is then I go, this would make a really cool video game. Which then the Ouroboros begins, and we can't have that. Like games become TV shows, become games, and it's forever. But all in all, I thought it was a lot of fun. I think if you're a fan of Sonic, it's worth checking out. If you're not a fan of Sonic, I don't know if it's going to do anything for you just because it's very much a Sonic property. I'm really excited because Knuckles gets a lot of screen time as well and is my favorite character. Noted previous guest of this show and Shadow fan Ken Shepard was unhappy with how little screen time Shadow got, but they do set it up for there to be more Shadow in the without giving anything away in the next half of the season or whatever, and so that's exciting. But they do utilize all of the characters, even Big the Cat, quite well. And that I like because Sonic's got such a great cast of characters. And the thing that always drives me crazy is some of the best games barely utilize them. Like I really like Sonic Colors, but it's literally Sonic and Tails and none of the other characters are in it. And I'm like, why? Where'd they go? They were in all the games before that and they're in all the games after that. It's like, where'd they go?
I need to check it out because I'm a Sonic fan too, which can make life difficult sometimes or often.
Yes.
But I was curious about the show. It's funny. I think we have a similar sort of like taste with the cartoon shows because I'm also a big fan of that. The Sonic AM Freedom Fighters thing and Sonic X I was also surprisingly like cool with.
Yeah.
And I watched all of that. And I the only one I never really watched was Sonic Boom, even though I heard good things about it.
I'd seen like episodes here and there, and it similarly to this show, it was your typical Saturday morning, let's get into hijinks kind of fare.
Yeah.
Though, like, I loved and didn't love how they treated Knuckles. Like, I love that Knuckles has evolved into like the ultimate himbo, and it kind of started with that portrayal in Sonic Boom. But I do like that this portrayal in Sonic Prime feels more like the video game version of Knuckles, kind of bullheaded and stubborn.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that Knuckles has the same character arc as Thor in the MCU.
You're correct.
Of like, make him progressively maybe dumber.
I mean, I do think that, like, honestly, my favorite version of him is Idris Elba's portrayal in the live-action movie, just because, like, he kind of gets it's kind of a fusion of, like, the himboification and the classic Knuckles. Like, he's really powerful, but he's also kind of a dummy. Which was more or less his character arc anyway.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job in that movie. He was a highlight.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I highly recommend you check it out, Marcus. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's only 8 episodes the first season, and like the first episode I think is double length, like a lot of premieres are, and then it kind of moves at a good clip. So definitely totally worth checking out.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, Matt, if you had to sum up Sonic Prime, that's it.
Yeah.
Sonic Prime.
Yeah.
Cool. We said a lot of Sonic titles in that. If you had to sum up Sonic Prime in just 3 words, and you cannot use Sonic nor Prime to describe it, which 3 words would you choose?
Fast through dimensions.
Fast through dimensions?
Yes.
Cool. I love it. Just want to make sure I heard fast.
Yes.
Or past. I was unsure.
I think that was the original
you.
subtitle for the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just pulled it from there.
Oh. Is that cheating? That.
Oh no, I just made that up.
Yeah.
I
just
liked
sounded like
it.
it
I
sounded like it
believed
should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does sound like a pitch for the show. But yeah, definitely check it out if you're a
Amazing.
Sonic fan. And, if you're a Sonic fan, also, Sonic Frontiers is one of the best Sonic games in a long time. Come for me. I said it. It's fun. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't
fight
think that's
us.
controversial.
Yeah.
I don't think the bar has been incredibly
Well, that's
high,
true.
personally. But
I mean, I've said in multiple spaces that it's the best Sonic game since Sonic Adventure 2, and I don't know if people agree with that.
does that mean
but,
3D Sonic? Because I mean, Sonic
yeah.
Mania is in there too.
Oh, 3D Sonic, yes, hands down. No, Sonic Mania is the best Sonic game, period, since Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, so, which is the best Sonic game.
Okay,
But
I
anyway.
won't have to come for you now.
Okay, all right.
I can
Yes.
pitchfork down.
All right, awesome. Well, now, Rachel, it is your turn. What is the most recent thing that you have watched that you've brought to the show?
Well,
Uh-oh, here it comes.
I stumbled upon a show, and I got through watching half of it at one point,
Uh-huh.
and I had time today, and I decided I would just watch all of it, and I'm still kind of confused, but intrigued.
Okay.
We're back in the anime hole.
Okay.
Hop in, folks. Here we go. I watched the 3-episode pilot miniseries spin-off. Who knows? Called Burn the Witch,
Huh.
and I liked it.
Okay.
It just, I'm not sure what is going to happen with it. It's created by the same person who created Bleach. It's set in the same universe, but at this point it seems to not intersect with Bleach yet. There's like a reference to the Soul Society at like one point in it. But mostly it's kind of just this pilot about a secret London called Reverse London. And
I feel like
dragons.
I've heard about this before. Has
that
something else
live-
done Reverse London before?
I don't know. Maybe Bleach mentions a Reverse
Okay,
London in
Reverse
it.
London.
And dragons come from Reverse London, but they kill a lot of people in regular London. So there's like a government agency in Reverse London that's in charge of dealing with these dragons.
Okay.
And they're called the Wing Society. This is my review, everyone. I hope you're excited. I'm just going to recall the plot of this. And we meet 2 members of this guild, Ninny and Noelle.
Mm-hmm.
And they have these really cool like plaid capes that they wear, and their wands are horns but also guns. And they have to protect a boy who's dragon clad, which means dragons are drawn to him. And that's dangerous because apparently in Reverse London, if people touch dragons without authorization, they can go to jail for 100 years or they get executed.
Okay.
This is my review. I hope you're loving it. So while they're protecting this dragon clad, a secret government maybe says we're gonna kill the dragon-clad boy. It's just a lot of exposition for a lot of it, and then there's a big battle, and it turns out the dragons have a higher level of dragon, and those are all based on fairy tales. This is literally my
You haven't
review.
really mentioned any witches yet.
But the 2 witches, Nitty and Noelle.
Oh, right. Okay.
I guess they're
Yeah.
witches because
Okay.
they got the wand porn guns attached to their
Prerequisite
thighs.
for a witch.
Their outfits look awesome.
Okay.
The dragons look great. I feel about as confused watching this as I did Fooly Cooley, so I hope that's an endorsement.
Okay.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah.
Except maybe Fooly Cooley's more confusing, but since I watched Fooly Cooley first, I was like, okay, I think I'm the right amount of lost. It's just very expository.
Okay.
I like the world so much, and the characters are pretty strong. Like Ninny is just like angry. She's like a little angry, like gremlin type character. And then Noelle's just very cool and calm and distant. And the boy who's the Dragonclad's an idiot. It's great.
Are you a Bleach fan? Like, do you have any attachment?
I watched some Bleach, but I can't remember it. The boy Ichigo becomes a Reaper because the Reaper who was the Reaper lost her Reaper powers, so she has to go to school with him and like be his mentor.
Okay,
right? That's
I think
Bleach,
so.
right?
That sounds familiar, sort of.
My review is just summing up anime this week. I hope you love it.
I've looked up real quick a screenshot 'cause I was like trying to visualize what you're describing. The dragons are cuter than I was imagining. At least the ones that they ride.
Yeah, the little dragons that they ride that become their brooms, very Owl House looking.
Yeah.
Love that for them.
I was expecting like Game of Thrones, like vicious, and I was like, oh, one of them looks like a cute little turtle thing. He's got like a real derpy face.
Yeah, so it feels very much like they're gearing up towards something more, but nothing more has come out yet.
Okay.
That I know of. I do know that the creator of Bleach is getting another run to finish up Bleach as an anime.
Wait, it's not done?
I guess not, unless I read something that's very old. But this Burn the Witch seemed very new. I'm questioning everything. This show was fun, but I'm just like, was this a pilot? Was this it's 3 episodes? It feels like it's just a long pilot episode. But I don't know if there's any more.
Interesting.
I'm confused about its creation, the world it exists in. I loved it, though. If you've got like an hour, what have you got to lose, honestly? Burn the Witch.
I mean, it sounds like you enjoyed being confused.
I did. I wasn't mad about it. The visuals are cool.
But
the
like,
characters
I was
are
pleasantly
nice.
confused.
Yeah,
exactly.
It was, again, it's like that Fooly Cooly feeling where it's like, I'm confused, but I'm not mad that I'm confused.
I'm excited.
Because it's kind of vibes, but I literally went from episode 1 to episode 2 and was just like, did I miss an entire scene?
I
watched it in English and everything, and I was just like, I don't.
Oh, it's been dubbed. Okay.
Yeah, it's been dubbed. I don't think I could have watched this one with subtitles because like the dialogue also is kind of jilted. Again, I'm saying things that you'd think would be like, don't watch this. I'm like, you should watch this though. I don't know why. I think maybe it's cursed, and now my curse is to like tell other people to watch it. Like, what's the movie with The Ring? Like The Ring. It's like a Ring situation. Please watch this.
That's a strange endorsement. Like, you might die. You should watch this.
I don't know why. I'm like, I liked this, but I did.
I mean,
I liked its vibe.
I like their flannel that they're
I like that flannel.
Yeah,
that flannel's neat. And the horn gun wand things are cool. And their outfits are nice. Maybe I just like it because their outfits are neat.
You do tend to like good fashion. So.
Do like aesthetics. It's true. I didn't dislike it. I kind of liked it. I can't explain why. I just did.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't have to explain. You're just like, you know what? Yeah. I just like this. Doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah, I mean, not everything has to make sense in life, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel, if you had to sum up Burn the Witch without using the words burn, the, or witch, what 3 words you'd use to describe this show that you didn't quite understand?
We probably said it.
Honestly, major pilot energy.
Major pilot energy. I like that.
That's just how it just feels like they wanted to get so much about this world across. They just keep like asking each other dumb questions that the other character would obviously know the answer to. Again, this feels like I didn't like it, but I liked it. Everything I say is like, this doesn't sound good, but I liked it. I liked it, I think, is my 3-word review with question marks.
Okay.
Or major pilot energy.
That 3-word review actually has punctuation. There you go.
Yeah. Put question marks all over it, Case. You have my permission this time.
Well, now it is our incredible guest's turn. Marcus, what is the most recent thing you have watched?
So get ready, this is going to be a theme. So the last time I watched anything new was I traveled to Japan recently.
Yes, you did.
And it's a very long flight, 11 hours if you're not aware. So it gives me a lot of time to watch a bunch of stuff. So in terms of TV shows, I watched the first episode of House of the Dragon finally.
Okay.
A Game of Thrones fan, and I'd been meaning to, but like when the show was announced, I was interested, but my Game of Thrones love or enthusiasm hadn't totally refilled yet, or at least I thought it hadn't. Because I love the show. I think it's one of the best shows ever made. Season 8 aside, I don't think season 8 negates the rest of the series. Yeah. So I was like, I don't need to watch this right now. But then as I kept, the season progressed, I kept hearing positive things, and most importantly, I didn't really hear people crapping on it.
Right.
So I was like, okay, that's a good sign. No, like I'm not hearing outrage, especially because it was around the time the Lord of the Rings show was coming on, and everybody was just burning that thing to the ground.
Yeah.
I still have not seen that either, but. Being on a plane, it's the perfect opportunity to watch things that maybe you otherwise wouldn't make time for at home. And I was like, oh, it's here. I'll check this out. And I really liked that pilot. And about 20 minutes into it, I was back. Like, I was like, oh, I'm back in. I'm back in Game of Thrones. Like, I forgot how much I love this world. I think I missed it more than I realized. Like, just the political intrigue and the sort of, like, constant sense of like dread of like something bad is going to happen to good people, and I'm already like steeling myself of like maybe I shouldn't like these people too much because history suggests something horrible is going to happen to them. But I also like that it wasn't confusing. I was watching as I was kind of like up and about in the cabin walking around. I would you do the creeper thing of peeking at other people's screens, like, oh, what are they watching? And then you judge them based on what they're watching. And I saw someone actually watching the first episode of Game of Thrones, which I haven't seen footage of in forever, of like, oh my God, like, look how babyface Jon Snow is. I forgot. He's so pure here. But I remember how that first episode, watching it when it premiered, it's pretty confusing. And I always warn people when I'm suggesting Game of Thrones, like, hey, stick with it. Because they're going to throw a lot of names and a lot of families and houses at you, and you're not going to know who to pay attention to. Like, you'll remember who's who after about maybe 3-4 episodes.
Right.
I think that because this show focuses on just the Targaryens, and that first episode pretty much just limits it to, like, here's the dad, here's the daughter, here's the Dickie brother, and all that stuff. It's like, okay, I know who's who. I can follow this pretty well immediately. I think the performances are really good. I think Matt Smith already is really impressive of like, wow, this guy sucks. Don't like him. like record time, already found the person I need to hate the most. I think the the effects and the production is top notch as expected, but just the I just like the premise of that first episode of like the have you guys, I don't know if you guys have watched it yet.
I've not watched.
Oh, I watched the whole series.
Okay.
Yeah. Game of Thrones hurt my feelings. House of the Dragon has earned its place to continue being watched. That is where it sits in my book. I liked it though.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt by the end of the episode of like, all right, I guess I'm watching this. I'm watching all of this again. I'm back on the train, or on the dragon maybe is more appropriate.
Back in the drama.
Yeah,
oh,
like
boy.
I like the story they're setting up. I want to see where it goes, but yeah, it just felt nice to be back into that franchise, I guess, I've heard very good things about, I don't know anything specific. I've been unspoiled entirely. Like, I have no idea where the show goes. All I've heard is that it gets better as it goes. It seemed people were pretty cool with the finale. So that's exciting. And yeah, so for TV shows, because I'm kind of in a TV show, like I have a gap right now. I'm not really watching anything at the moment. So I need to, because I hadn't started it because I had paused my HBO Max subscription because I wasn't really using it at the time. So it's like, I'll wait for something to come out. But now I'm like, now I got to re-up and keep watching this, as well as The Last of Us, which I haven't had a chance to start yet.
I've seen the first 2 episodes. And
Same.
So I'll keep it brief because that's not what we're here to talk about. I loved the first episode. I liked all of the second episode until the last 10 minutes. And I just won't say anything more about it. I think that, Marcus, you played the games, right, Marcus?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think you'll enjoy it. I think I like what the changes they're making. But I'll have an article to send you written by a friend of mine once you've seen both episodes that expresses how I feel better than I can express it.
Okay. Interesting.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
It's got that Game of Thrones first season energy. You're worried about everybody. The world is terrible.
It's done really well. The cast is incredible.
There's a great, good, bad dad. You love him.
Ooh.
There he is.
Gotta
Pedro.
have a good bad dad.
Yeah, you got Papa Pedro, just
Papa Pedro, who knows exactly what he's doing.
Giving us that lone wolf cub experience all over again. That's all I'll say. I loved it. I think it's great.
I'll send you the article, though, Rachel, after we get off the call.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
It's by previous guest of the show, Ken Shepard, who I mentioned earlier. But it sounds like, Marcus, you were going to say that you've been watching other things besides this premiere of the new Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So I watched 4 movies between my 2 flights.
Okay.
Again,
Well,
I can run through them.
You can run through all of
them.
them.
There's one I want to talk about.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
fit the format of the show. Run through all of them, and then pick
Give me
the
3
one you
words to
really
describe
want to talk
them,
about. Yeah.
and then pick the one that you really want to talk about without describing it in 3 words.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go in order that I watched them. So
Cool.
the first
Okay.
thing I watched was The Woman King.
Okay. I've not heard of that one.
It's Viola Davis, came out last year.
Oh, yes. No, I do. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
I watched Dunkirk for the first time.
Dunkirk.
Okay.
Not seen it. And then on the flight back, I watched another late to the party, Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, such a good movie.
Oh,
I know.
I've seen that movie.
That
It's
one had
very
been
good.
And I love both of them. Like I love Leo, I love Tom Hanks.
Right.
They're like 2 actors where like anything they're in, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. But
Yeah.
that one had just slipped by me, and I always told myself like really need to watch that because I've heard it's really good, and it was really good. And long, which is perfect for that flight. And then the last thing I watched was oh no, don't forget. I watched
You can do this. I believe in you.
Oh, I watched Creed. I had not seen Creed yet, and I'm
okay.
a huge Rocky fan, and I had not seen the Creed movies.
Oh, cool.
And they had the first one, and the trailer for the third one premiered not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched Creed and also really enjoyed it. I'd heard those movies were good, but you're kind of like, man, do we need more of these? And
Right.
yeah, and that one justified its existence. Like I want to see the second one. And for bonus, I started watching Little Woman, but then I fell asleep and never finished it. But I would like to finish it. I got like halfway through it, and then
you'd think that would be. I don't know what it is about me. Like you'd think that would be like a detriment to it, but that's actually a compliment because that movie cozy. That movie's so cozy. Little Women, the coziest.
yeah. And after watching 2 movies and then flying back to the States, and after an entire day's worth of travel between a bullet train and taxis, and you're just like
Oy.
flight. Or like hour 8 on this flight. I'm like, oh, I think I'm more tired than I realize. I don't want to have to struggle watching this movie because I'm enjoying it. So like,
Sure.
I'll just watch the rest when I get home. I haven't yet, but I will. But I guess all of those, the ones I want to watch or the one to talk about would be The Woman King.
Okay.
It's the most recent one. Like I mentioned, Viola Davis, star of it. It's also got John Boyega in it. Always down for him.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And yeah, it's a badass movie. It's so cool. My mom had seen it and loved it. And it's it's set in the early 1800s. It's about a true story of this sort of all-female warrior army that was sort of like the elite guard of this African tribe. This is kind of during I don't know to say the height of the slave trade, but definitely slavery was going on. And this village was one of the villages in the area that would occasionally supply slaves to the Portuguese and other Europe nations in exchange for goods and just to keep them off their backs, basically. But the story actually follows I don't know the actress's name, but it's a young girl in the village who kind of refuses the arranged marriage that her father prepared because she sets him up with this old guy who was abusive, and she's like, nah, I'm good. So then her dad gets mad and just gives her up to the woman's army because it's like, oh, I guess you could just do that in the village. Like, hey, I don't want you. You can either get kicked out or you can go live the rest of your life with this like elite guard, and you basically don't get to have a life of your own, or at least that's what it seems like. But she ends up being down for that, and she's just like wants to fight and has a lot of anger and rebellious, and it's kind of like her coming up along with Viola Davis, who's like the leader. And she's like just this super strong, super badass lady. And they kind of have like this interesting dynamic. It goes some places with them. I won't spoil. But it's like her sort of trying to guide this girl. So you kind of get both angles of like seeing what it takes to make it in this group of like all the crazy trials they put these like young women through to make them these battle hardened, like basically like Amazons. And I think that's what they were actually called. I looked up something about them, like an article after I watched it just to learn a bit more, and they were like straight up called like, yeah, they're like the Amazons of Africa. And also just learning about Viola Davis's character, like her past and how she got to her position and her relationship with the king, who John Boyega plays. Not like romantic, but they just are pretty tight, and I think John Boyega does an amazing job playing the king of this village. I think all the performances are great. But the fight scenes are fantastic. Just the choreography, just how brutal they are, but just selling like, oh yeah, if these women roll up in your town, you guys are screwed, basically. Because it's like I said, it's just like it's a bunch of like real life Amazons coming in to like clean house, and liberate, it's like captives or whatever they're there to do. But it gets into like a bigger story about just the village's role in the slave trade, of whether or not, like, hey, is it cool that we're technically contributing to this? Like, we're not giving up our own people. Like, it's usually we capture people that attacked us and then we give them up because we don't like them anyway, But like, is that still perpetuating this vicious cycle? And maybe it's time to break that, but obviously there be consequences to that. And yeah, just sort of like how far would you go to not only protect your home, but to sort of like protect yourself, to whether it's through like learning how to fight, learning how to sort of like cut yourself off from things that might be deemed weak, like relationships or even just like the opportunity to start a family stuff. Because like all the women in that tribe, they'd say like, you can't have kids, you can't be with men, like this is your life basically. So you either like it or you can get out. And the girl who's like the main character kind of has to battle that, because even though she's down for it, when she starts realizing the things that she's missing, there's some conflict there, and she starts pushing against the grain. And she's also trying to advocate for like, hey, maybe it doesn't have to be like this.
Right.
Yeah, maybe we can have it all.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's kind of, and then Viola Davis, who is the more like traditional, like they butt heads a lot of like, hey, you're new here, you don't even have a right, you're lucky to even be speaking to me right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fantastic movie. Viola Davis, always great. Like I said, it's never boring. It's got some great pacing. The fight scenes are fantastic, emotional at points. I loved it. I think it's awesome.
I've been wanting to see it. Once I looked up the poster, I remember the poster of like Viola Davis standing like sideways, like a badass, and like everyone around her. Yeah, I remember seeing the trailers for this. It looks like a really cool movie. It's good to hear that it comes through with that, and I'm definitely curious to check it out. I've been wanting to see it pretty much since I saw the trailer, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I wonder if it's been nominated, because I know the Academy Awards just dropped their
I don't know. I feel like a ton of stuff got snubbed. Like Nope got nothing, I heard, which is like wild to me.
I thought Hollywood loved movies about making Hollywood movies. You'd think. Oh wait.
The
Irony?
one.
No.
Wait, did the Fablemans
no.
get nominated? Oh, gee, that doesn't look right.
Yeah, I feel like that's all I've heard so far. I heard the Nope controversy, and then I heard a couple other things get snubbed. I haven't really heard what actually made it. I've just heard everyone being mad about what didn't make it.
Look, if the games industry has taught us anything, people are louder about the things they're mad about.
We're very glass half empty society, I guess. I don't know.
Well, Marcus, if you had to sum up The Woman King without using the words the woman or king, what 3 words would you use to sum up this film?
3 words. Historical, badass, entertainment.
Yeah.
Which is also
There's
the
a
name.
hyphen in badass. There's a hyphen in badass.
It's also
badass is one word.
Yeah, it's the name of my indie wrestling promotion as well.
Of course.
The old HBE.
HB.
Coming to your local gym this Saturday.
Awesome. Well, Marcus, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing that film. I'm really excited to have you on the show. We've gotten to work together sort of like I'm the ghost around you because I've been editing a ton of episodes until the end of the year last year when we got to actually be on an episode of the Game Informer show together. But it's been fun to be a part of that whole tradition and be able to be the freelance editor for that. You've been with Game Informer for quite some time. You are an associate editor there, and you work on a ton of stuff from news to gameplay today to the Super Replay to reviews. I'm curious, have you? Obviously, a video game fan for a long time. Was this always the goal? Have you always wanted to be a writer working at a game site? Did you start writing elsewhere before doing games? How was your trajectory to get to Game Informer?
Yeah, it was always my goal specifically, I guess, for all of my adult life. Because growing up, I had other ideas of stuff I wanted to be I guess most of us, and then that changes because either it's I was always a very fantastical thing of I think I want to be a superhero. I think that's a viable profession.
We all want to be Batman until we find out we can't be Batman.
Right? You're oh, that's you would die, I guess, immediately. But it was after graduating high school, because I graduated not really knowing what to do. I knew everything I didn't want to do. And it turned out most things I didn't want to do. So it was all right, it's going to come down to working in something I'm passionate about. And the 2 things would be video games or wrestling. So either I have to get into the game industry or become a wrestler. And you're okay, let's do it, I guess. And, it's weird because I didn't think of writing at first. I went to school for game design. I was oh, maybe I'll make games. That's cool. I'm always amazed it took me as long as it did to connect the dots for writing because I grew up reading Game Informer as well as just other outlets like Edge, and I always thought subconsciously oh, that's a cool job.
You never think I could do that job.
Yeah, or if you do, it's how do you get there? It's very, for the longest time, this job, the roadmap there was very vague and unclear, do I have to go to journalism school or what? And I also loved creative writing. I always loved the English class. I was always good at writing. So it's the 2 things I'm really good at and enjoy are right there. And there's a job that literally combines them both. But again, it's the thing of you just don't think oh, I could do that. And so went to school for game design, did 4 years, and then dropped out without graduating because while I was there was when I finally decided to take the plunge on this stuff. Because game design was cool, but then you just do it for a few years and you're I don't know if I actually want to do this. There's some just some stuff that's just less fun, some of the work and whatever. I'm bad at programming too. I would skip programming classes to go hide in the library and write reviews on a forum. My first game reviews ever were skipping classes to go do that. Yeah.
It's amazing.
So take that. It worked out in the end, it turns out. Professor who got mad at me. And I started out writing there was a wrestling forum I was a part of called WrestleZone. And they had a games, sub-thread or whatever. And I would just post reviews there. And then those got good feedback. And it was funny because at the time, I straight up ripped Game Informer's review system. Wholesale, scoring system, the bullet points we used to have, everything. Because I was well, it's awesome. The one I know the most, and I want to work here. So if I in my head, the master plan was if I know how to do it now, then when I interview, I'll just show them and be I already know how this works. I know how you guys
should
do
hire me
things.
because I already do this.
You don't have to tell me anything. I'm already mastered it and whatever. And
it's a good game plan. I already know how to do it your way. You don't got to teach me. Like,
exactly. Styles. I know your style guide. And it's weird because, like, I was never formally trained how to do this job for the most part. It was just a lot of it was just sort of osmosis.
Right.
Like, you read enough stuff and you watch enough stuff that you kind of get a sense of how to professionally evaluate a game and how to write about it. Of like, well, I probably should describe it this way, or I shouldn't. This tone feels best. And, while still maintaining, like, my own voice.
Right.
But, yeah, it's weird when I think about it in hindsight. Like, I just kind of know what to do. And did that for a couple years. And then eventually I had, like, this blog that just, like, hundreds of features and reviews. And then I got the attention of a small, like, startup site that was based in the UK. And, like, it was the classic, like, we can't pay you, but, exposure, brother.
Yeah.
And
one of those.
It's I get the attitude around those, but at the same time, it's like you got to start somewhere.
Sure.
So it's like it's hard. Like, I would never advocate to, like, hey, you should get paid for your work, but also sometimes that isn't the reality. So it's like, if you can afford to not get paid, like if you have a day job and this person is offering, like, legit experience, which this particular outlet did, because this guy taught me how to reach out to PR and how to ask for codes, and, like, that side of this industry that I didn't know about, all I just did was write about things I played or saw. But he's like,
right.
This is actually how you communicate on a professional level. And so, like, that part was invaluable. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's the gift of knowledge and advancement. Like, getting paid in exposure is it feels like an entirely different thing. Like, when getting paid in exposure feels like, I have a space, you have to do all the work, and I'm not going to give you anything except for this space. But like, getting valuable insight into understanding the ins and outs of an industry, that's a stepping stone further into the industry.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know where else to learn this. And
Yeah.
I did my first podcast there.
Nice.
Very cool.
So it's like, again, like, stuff like, oh, I'm doing it. Like, I'm doing all the things that the big boys do. Okay. And so I was there for about a year. And then this is when Game Informer was still doing its internship program.
Right.
And I applied once and then got told no by Matt Miller. But then I was like, okay, challenge accepted. And then it just kept working at this place and just trying to get better, and then just built up a better portfolio there. And then applied again in 2015 and then got it. And it was funny because I'd known I was going to, no. So I was working at a place. I had sent it off, was waiting for the response, but I was like, in my mind, I was like trying to, like, will it into existence. Like, I'm going to get this internship. I have to. And around this time I got laid off. Like, the place I was working at, they laid off, like, my entire, like, staff. So we were all done. But we got, like, a month's notice. So we knew, like, this is our last day. So here's some, and they were trying to, like, move us to, like, different areas and whatever. But, like, the timing of it was perfect. So I was like, oh, if I get accepted, I couldn't go somewhere else because I would have to leave to go live in Minneapolis the next month. So this is actually great. And so I was like, now I have to get it. And then I wound up getting it. So it worked out, whatever you want to call it, power to the universe, put it out there. And then, yeah, that was like a dream come true, 3 months there in the office, meeting, like, people that I respected and, like, read for years. Meeting Reiner for the first time was crazy. Of like, man, like, like, it's probably like that when you meet anyone that you follow closely, where you feel like you know them even if you don't know them. And it's
Absolutely.
like weird of like, we're technically meeting for the first time, but, like, I know things that you like and whatever, but, like, I'm not going to say that because that's weird.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I had that experience with Patrick Klepek last year because I had him on my interview podcast, and, like, I'd been following Patrick since G4 and, like, then Giant Bomb and now, of course, Waypoint. And, like, when I had him on, I was like, so, like, I'm very familiar because I feel like I know your life. You talk about your kids, you talk about your giant skeleton. Like, I know your life, even though we've only had several conversations in the past, but never really one like this. And so I totally get that. I mean, even before I started working with the Game Informer show, I felt like that about you guys because, like, I listened to the show. I was a fan of the podcast. And then, like, I knew the little quirks and stuff.
Yeah, pick any well-known indie wrestler. That's how I will feel about them. Just, I've seen you in such moments of pure humanity, it feels like we are acquainted. We are not.
Yeah, you're like, I listened to you on a podcast. You were talking to Renee Young, or you were up, down, down. I know what video games you like.
Yeah, see, anybody who has a parasocial relationship with any of us, we get it. We have them too. We've all got them. Just be like cool, you know?
Yeah. I like to think I played it cool. I probably did it.
Everybody poops.
I mean,
It's
what we have to do
fine.
now is we have to ask Reiner to see if you did play it cool, or you got to get
or
his
if
perspective.
you like.
Yeah, in my knowing myself, I was like, in my mind, I think I'm playing it cool, but in reality, they were like,
Probably
you
not.
seemed really awkward. But then after that, I freelanced for a couple years, off and on, and that's when I kind of like went full on, like, okay, I need to learn everything, you know, because this job is so much more than just writing. So like, I taught myself how to podcast and record audio and how to stream, and I had a YouTube channel and made videos and was just trying to do like everything, like trying to cover my bases basically, you know, like video editing and all that stuff. And it's not like I got like amazing at it, but like my philosophy, and I still tell this to younger writers now, is like, get good enough at all of that, maybe get really good at one of them, but like at least have like a basic understanding of how to do all of that, because that's more or less the job at this point, is applying those skills to some degree in your everyday, you know, work life. So yeah, I was on my own for like 4 years just doing that, and then got hired in 2020 and the pandemic, you know. It's weird because 2020 is such a weird year for me because it was the worst year ever for a lot of people for obvious reasons. But for me, it was like the best year ever. Like I had a fantastic 2020, in like personally speaking, you know, as the world was burning around me. It was like, oh, I got hired at GI, but even before that, the sort of like the snowball had gathered enough snow where it was like undeniable, like, okay, something big's gonna happen. Like feel like I'm like this pressing up against the glass ceiling, and it's just like I need something to break it, because I was doing more stuff with like MinMax, because I'd always been cool with Ben Hansen and appearing on their stuff and having more reviews published. I was writing for Screen Rant at the time, and doing work for Hard Drive and getting like fun satire stuff published. So it was like everything was like clicking that year.
Yeah.
I had a podcast, a Sailor Moon podcast that was doing really good. That was fun at the time. So I was like, man, this is great. And then not having to go to work for months, it's like I have all the time to do this, and I'm still getting paid, and those stimulus checks are getting in. I'm making more money sitting at home than going to work. This is amazing. And it was also kind of like, it was a good like self-test of like, okay, the perfect scenario I've always envisioned is now here, of like, because whenever I worked or wasn't working, I would be doing this stuff.
Right.
So, because I just had that tunnel vision of like, I have to get where I am now. And, you know, now that I don't have to worry about going to the job I don't care about, like, I have no excuse to not do more, right? And especially because, like, we don't, you know, back when we didn't know what would happen with COVID, like how long is this gonna last, or like is this just gonna be like fallout now for the rest of our lives?
It's only gonna be 2 weeks. It's gonna be fine.
Flatten the curve, baby. Remember that?
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, boy.
And yeah, so I was like, well, just take advantage of it. Like, I'm not gonna just sit on my butt. Like, do something, make some stuff. And I did, and that's when things started just really clicking, and then got hired. So yeah, I have very fond personal memories of 2020 because of that.
I mean, but that's legit. I mean, like, and you're not the only person I've heard that story. Like, once people were at home and once people had like this focus or this ability to really lean in, they found these things. Like, I mean, I had been podcasting long before the pandemic, but it wasn't until the pandemic that I really started to like, okay, I'm going to be a producer, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to get better at editing, and I'm going to edit a bunch of stuff. And like, you know, if the pandemic had not happened, I probably would not be the freelance editor for the GI show, right? Like, I would not have made those connections. The connections I made with like Ken Shepard and Eric Van Allen and Jesse Vitelli and, you know, folks even over at GI like Alex Van Aken, I made those connections in the pandemic because everyone was home and everyone was online and people were hanging out in Discords and stuff. And I don't know that those connections would have happened the same way if I was going to live events. Thankfully, since then, I've gotten to go to some live events and meet folks as well. But like, I really do think for folks in certain industries, especially podcasting and games journalism, like being home helped. You know, it sucked that we were all stuck at home, but it helped us kind of make those connections we might not have made otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it was the thing of like actually one of the biggest project I did in those first 30 days of like quarantine was to get better at video editing. I did a series where I filmed myself playing a game from my backlog every day for 30 days.
Wow.
And I called it like 30 days of backlog. And I was like, okay, every day for 30 days straight, I have to film myself playing a thing and then edit it and then get it up like quickly because it has to be that day. Or
Right.
like I would film it the day before and drop it the next day. Sometimes I would do multiple in advance if it was like a hairy week just to have in the chamber. But like by the end of that month, I had it down.
You just gave
of, like,
yourself
how
a
to
boot camp, essentially.
Yeah, and again, it just kept my mind occupied and creative. And again, when you don't know what's going to happen with the world, it was a nice distraction too. But yeah, it's it's a lot of luck. You know, there's so many talented writers that I think are way better than me that still haven't gotten a shot to do this full time. And then with layoffs and stuff going on right now, seeing other people I admire and follow or respect lose their jobs, and you almost get like survivor's guilt of like, how am I still here?
Right. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, it's
so
tough.
yeah, but like I said, like you don't need to be at the same time like the greatest, bestest thing ever to get the thing that you want. Because odds are you're probably maybe better than you give yourself credit for
sure.
And just keep at it. Just keep on grinding. Just take care of yourself mentally, of course.
Yeah.
Don't maybe obsess over it, but put the work in too.
Yeah.
For sure.
The way that I'm looking at starting like a career question mark, I don't know, it's fine in wrestling for real, is like this idea of, hey, this progress isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. Like every small thing you do is building that Jenga tower. Like it's not going to instantly be done, and it's nice to be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you get mad at yourself because you're not progressing fast enough, you're going to burn out faster. Because all of a sudden you're just going to have negative associations. This is why I haven't given up wrestling yet. Even though it makes me so frustrated, my body doesn't do what I want it to. It's gonna, though.
Yeah.
So it's nice to hear that's universal.
Yeah. And in my experience, that you get the things that you want when you least expect it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like
When you're literally not ready for it, you're just like, oh shit, okay,
it's like,
we're
this
going.
is happening.
Oh god.
Totally, yeah. And I think that you have to be open not only to the experience and finding it, but open to change. I think that like I had this eye-opening moment not a few weeks ago. I'm starting to scale back the editing I'm doing. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to edit the GI show as long as Alex doesn't fire me. Can Alex fire me? I don't know. Anyway, probably. But like I'm scaling back some of the other production and editing I'm doing because I want to focus on growing. I host 4 podcasts and like I want to grow those shows. Fun and Games for the first time in years has some real connections. We got to interview a ton of indie developers that I really love, and like we launched a Patreon because I realized that I could do this as a hobbyist thing, right? Like a lot of folks have podcasts as like a hobbyist thing, but there are ways to make money from it, and even more importantly, make it a career, even if it's not the only career you have or the only thing that you do, And I think, no one's going to bet on you if you don't bet on yourself. It sounds cheesy, but it's true, right? And like all those things you talked about, you do, Marcus, like I've been reading Game Informer for a long time. I used to read the magazine and now I read the website. And I'd been reading your work before I even knew who you were. And like I've always loved your style because you're not like your cover stories, for example. Like your band out of 3 cover stories is incredible because first of all, it was before we knew quite how interesting that whole experience with that game was going to be. But like you have such an attention to detail while you're still not afraid to like throw in some humor and throw in some levity and like kind of add personality to your writing. Like now that I've gotten to know you and talked to you several times, I feel like I knew you, like you were talking about before. I knew you before just through your writing, and then your personality and conversation here just supports that. And I think that what you're doing over there is really great. And it's so cool to get you to see you continue to do it and then be a part of it and be involved in any way that I am.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, it's weird. Like, I've been there over 2 years now. It went by so fast. It dawned on me when we were doing Game of the Year discussion. I'm like, wow, this is my third one of these already.
I've done so many of these.
Yeah, how has this happened already? And it's still weird being, I guess, on the other side of like the mountain, I guess.
Yeah.
The like you made it, quote unquote, whatever that really means.
Yeah.
Of like now people hitting you up for like advice, and you're like, oh my god, I used to do that, and you know I still do it, but like.
Right,
I'm
of
that,
course.
I was like, I'm that guy. Like, are you sure? Like, you want to talk to me? But you know, it's a fun. I'm trying to, as I've done this longer and longer, like, and especially with everything going on now, like, appreciate it more and more. I try to go every day, reminding myself, like, hey, this is a pretty sweet gig, especially if it's like, you know, like a time where it's stressful and,
Yeah.
you know, we all have deadlines. I know some people think it's just playing video games all day and that it's not hard. And,
Not
you know,
true.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it than that. But, you know, that part of the job is cool, of course. But
Yeah.
whenever I get, like, super stressed, just reminding myself, like, because I worked, like, you know, I'm 35. I just turned 35 last year. I didn't get this job till I was 33, 2, whatever. So I spent all of my 20s and some of my early 30s working every, like, retail service job as a server. And like, you know, all the everything that comes with that line of work, and reminding myself like, hey, if stressing over whether or not I need to like transcribe this cool interview I did with this like developer I'm really like admire or am interested in, or like in a cooler circumstance of like, oh, like I just interviewed a wrestler, that's cool. I didn't get to do that before. And like, if that's the thing I got to stress about, like, I'll take that. That's the kind of stress I'm cool with.
Yeah.
And because you look at it and it's like, it's stress because I want it to be good. And that's a good sign because, at least to me, that means that I still care, you know?
Yeah.
Of like, I want this to be good. It's got my name on it. I'm proud of it. I want other people to like it. So that's like, you know, I guess like a productive stress. Trying still not to be too stressed about it, but trying to reframe it, I guess, you know?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I
Yeah.
think also with the layoffs and everything else, you just got to be grateful for what you've got and kind of do the best that you can, you know? You can't
control it.
can't control the capitalism. The capitalism machine's going to keep rolling, and
The capital machine just wants to pay us less and less and less and hire less and less and less, because the goal is to get and keep as much money as possible.
Yeah. And my mom reminded me when our layoffs hit, because she's the smartest person I know. And she's like, I mean, if something were to ever happen to you, you'd be fine. She's like, you know, she's like, you know, you're not starting from, if you have to start over, you're not starting over from scratch. You're starting from experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, she's like, you've built up enough equity. You could go do anything you want at this point.
Yeah.
And also just because you're good at your thing that you do. And
Yeah.
it's kind of comforting. Like, yeah, like, and it's comforting and it's emboldening. Or,
Yes.
you know, if like, oh, I should just do whatever. Because who knows? This could end any day, clearly, now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, just ride it till the wheels fall off. Like any wild, dumb thing that I come up with or any weird opportunity that comes my way, like, just go for it. Let's
Yeah.
just do
Do
it.
it.
Yeah. Why not?
The world's on fire. Do what you love.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Much.
We're all going to die soon and there's no sequel, as Ricky Gervais said one time.
Yeah. There you go.
It is.
There's no better note to end this podcast on.
Yeah.
Right?
Contemplate your mortality. Find the things
On
to
this
fill
comedy.
your dust mite of a moment on the grand timeline of the universe, and just do something that makes you smile.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Marcus, thank you so much for joining
Thank you,
us.
Marcus.
Before
Thank
we
you.
wrap up, and before we ask you our final question, I would love for you to tell folks where they can find you online,
Yes,
where they can find your work
plugs.
online, the best place to check out all the stuff that you're doing.
You can find me online on Twitter at Marcus Stewart 7, which is the number 7. And you can find me on GameInformer.com, of course, and all of our affiliated sites, like our YouTube channel. We got 2 channels, Game Informer and then the Game Informer Show channel. We've got our Twitch channel, GameInformer.com, or just Game Informer on Twitch, Instagram, all of the things that are on the internet that have our name on it. Go to GameStop and get a subscription to the magazine. It's really good. We all work very hard on it. And there's actually a fun magazine issue coming up that I have a big part in, but I cannot talk about yet. But
yeah,
you
may have your socials may hint that you may have traveled abroad to do a thing.
Yeah, I might have mentioned it on this very podcast.
Yeah,
they might be related.
How about that?
Keep an eye out in the coming weeks for that.
Yeah.
All my friends have NDAs. What about yours?
We like to share them. We trade them and read each other's. Like,
exactly.
this is what you signed, huh?
NFTs, never heard of her. All my friends have NDAs.
Well, that's awesome. Yes, definitely go check all that stuff out. Of course, also check out Marcus on the Game Informer show, an incredible podcast that kind of summarizes all the cool stuff going on at Game Informer, so you can get like a quick list and get some cool perspectives, and then go check out everything else because there's so much to read and there's so much to see. We're going to ask you our final question in a moment, Marcus, but first we have some folks to thank, don't we, Rachel?
Yes. Thank you so much to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble. Great jam.
It is a great jam. We are grateful to have it as our theme music. We also want to thank the incredible Katie Bugg, who designed our awesome show art for the podcast itself. I also am obligated to thank Case Aiken.
No. Never.
Who designs each episode's show art featuring our incredible guests.
I'm incredibly angry that the show art using some of my wrestling promo photos made me look so dominant. I hate
made you look so
How
awesome.
Dare you?
How dare?
How dare
he make you
you
look so awesome?
So angry.
And we're also, of course, on certainpov.com, our podcast family.
Yeah, you can listen to lots of shows there. Circling Cersei. That
Killing
one about comics.
Comics Quest.
Comics Quest. And the one about Superman.
Men of Steel.
Men of
You
Steel.
you could just pull up a list of, like, the homepage is just all the podcast
Do you know
titles.
how many tabs I have open right now?
I don't want to know.
You don't want to know. It's a lot. I'm converting 5e to Pathfinder. It's a lot of tabs. I need a lot of help. Anyway, please check out all of them. I do love them all equally, even though I forget their names every week. Love you. You can find out all of those shows on our Discord. Yes? Our Discord. Yes.
Yes.
Discord.
You can go to certainpv.com and join our Discord server and engage in conversation about TV, comic books, movies, video games, and so much more.
Yeah.
We got it all.
At me about Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Just at me in that Discord and watch me, and that will get me running. Are you kidding? That will get me there. Just do it. Engage with me.
And you can also engage with the show by writing us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We appreciate any and all reviews. You can follow us on Twitter at @screen_snark, or you can write us an email at screensnarkpod@gmail.com. We love to receive your reviews and emails. We love hearing from all of you. And I believe now it is time for Rachel to ask our guest the final question before we say goodbye.
Yes. Marcus, I would love to know if you could choose any one trope that is often utilized in film or television to instantly and magically become true in your life, which one would you choose?
Oh, man. That's not where I thought that question was going.
Haha, take that. You get a wish. No consequences.
I thought it was going to be get rid of. I had an answer, but now I don't want this to be in my life. It's how about I want to have the sitcom neighbor trope, like the weird neighbor that just walks in because your door's always open for some reason. Or maybe it's locked, but they can just magically just open it.
Yeah.
And just at random times, like maybe if I'm feeling sad or something, they just happen to walk in at the right time to be like, "Hey, Jerry!" And just like I want a Kramer,
I want
an Urkel, a Jazzy Jeff.
There you go. Yeah.
And they just come in a Kel.
Kel loves orange soda.
Yeah, like if I'm like, man, I'm stressed, and he just busts in with a just a pitcher of orange soda.
Yeah, you
and
have
it's like-
so many delightful misadventures.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a
Come
scream
on.
cooking. Yeah, let's
Not
do
to
that.
love. That's a
Yeah,
good
that's a good
one.
one.
What is that? Is that just like friendly?
Like the kooky
Home intruder?
neighbor.
The friendly home intruder. Yeah, exactly. Amazing. Oh, I love it. Perfect. And that's not been brought up on the show before, so you're original as well. So well done, Marcus.
Wow. So many
thank you
tropes.
again. So many tropes. Thank you again, Marcus, for joining us. This
Thank
was
you,
so much fun.
Marcus.
Thank you. This was awesome. Thanks for having me.
And of course, I have to thank my incredibly brilliant, athletic, and dominating co-host, the incredible Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I would love to thank my I like it co-host Matt, aka Stormageddon, because
That's
you
okay,
don't
I
have
questioned it
you
too.
don't have major pilot energy. Like
I don't have major pilot
no,
energy.
you're like as exciting as a penultimate all the time.
I'll take that. That's a nice compliment. I wasn't sure where you were going, but I'll take it. And of course, we want to thank you, our incredible listeners. Thank you for being here with us every episode. We appreciate you so much, and we will see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye-bye.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
Video games are a unique medium.
They can tell stories,
Immerse us in strange, fantastic worlds.
blur the very boundaries of our reality.
But at the end of the day, video games are fun, whatever fun is to you.
I'm Jeff Moonen,
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
and on Fun and Games, we talk about the history, trends, and community of video games.
It's a celebration of all the games we play and all the fun we find within them.
And there's so many more games out there, so we hope you'll share in that conversation with us.
Fun and Games podcast with Matt and Jeff. Find us on certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
And happy gaming.
CertainPOV.com.